Genre. The Bible is commonly referred to as the good book. But from another point of view, the Bible is not a book at all. Rather, it is a compendium of many books, letters, and even a book/letter or two. In toto, there are 66 different volumes within the one Bible. When interpreting a book, whether the book is the Bible or not, one of the first things we have to do is figure out what genre the book is written in. We would clearly not interpret Jason X Death Moon the same way we would interpret the latest edition of my local community phone book. Knowing the genre is an important part of knowing the context. The Bible contains the following genres of literature: history, prophecy, apocalyptic, wisdom literature, old school biography, and letter. History is fairly self-explanatory. It says that event X happened at time T naught, but we have to be careful. History today is not necessarily like history in the past. That is the reports of the historian these days is not like it was in ancient times, perhaps. We have methods nowadays of producing exact audio-video recordings. In ancient times, however, much was based on oral tradition. Now, oral tradition is not necessarily bad, but it is not a videotape of the king's speech. In Jewish culture, during biblical times, the oral tradition was very accurate when reporting what really happened in the past. This is hard for us to appreciate today in our modern culture with readily available books and educational podcasts. We think of oral tradition in the ancient world as something like the game of telephone. What the last person in the circle says is nothing like what the first person said. Nothing could be further from the truth than to suppose that oral tradition is like the game of telephone. First, telephone is specifically designed to be a poor and inaccurate method of oral transmission. But secondly, the ancient Jewish culture had oral tradition down to a fine art, just the opposite of the game telephone. Ironically, oral tradition in some segments of the ancient world was apparently viewed as more reliable than written records at the time. In any case, oral tradition could be quite accurate, but they were not normally thought to reproduce word for word exactly what a given king or whomever said. The general thrust of what was said was okay in the reporting of the speech. Another difference between ancient and modern history is that of dating. And no, I am not talking about what I could never do as a high schooler and young adult. The AC/BC system of dating wasn't invented until long after the close of the New Testament, so we would not expect the biblical authors to use a dating system or calendar that wasn't even invented yet. It is thus not always easy to tell when something happened. An Old Testament prophet may write, quote, 20 years after the great earthquake of the 8th Pharaoh, I sacrificed a lamb unto the Lord, unquote. Well, first of all, we may have no clue what earthquake is under view here. And second of all, if we know about earthquakes at that time, and second of all, we may not know what makes this Pharaoh the eighth. He is the eighth Pharaoh from what? From the founding of Egypt or from some other event, maybe another earthquake. Moreover, it is not always clear how the ancients used numbers. This is true not just of biblical authors. We may read that Methuselah was 969 years old when he died, but we hesitate to admit that that is in fact the case. And finally, it is easy to make typographical errors when one is copying numbers. As the original Bible was copied over and over again, it would not be surprising if errors crept in when the various numbers are given that scholars use to recreate the chronological timeline of Bible events. For all these reasons, it is hard to precisely date Bible history at times, and as a result, it is difficult to know exactly how to interpret historical accounts in the Bible to an extent some of the time. So some of the historical events recorded may not be very precisely understandable to us today. So we have to be careful not to think that we know what we don't know. The next genre, let's see here. The next genre to discuss is that of prophecy, and we normally don't run into this genre outside of the Bible, except perhaps for other ancient religious literature. Perhaps it is the rareness of prophecy as a genre of literature which is responsible for prophecy being so badly misunderstood. Prophecy is not primarily the foretelling of the future, and prophecies are normally given in a poetic structure or use very vivid word pictures. Foretelling the future is a part of what prophecy is all about, but it is primarily the forthtelling of God's will. There is sin in the camp. God is not pleased with this. God sends his prophet to warn the people that unless they repent, they will face judgment. As normally happened in practice, the people did not repent and so faced the wrath of God. So we'll continue with the genre of prophecy in the Bible in the next video. Thank you. Shalom.